Hey y'all, welcome to Camirra's Kitchen. Today I am showing you 3 soul food recipes that, honey, you definitely should know how to make. You will get invited to the cookout with these recipes. We're making beef barbecue ribs, a special ranch bacon potato salad, and some gumbo cabbage and smoked turkey. Now, you can eat all of these together as one meal, which will be fantastic, or they're even great individually or mixed and matched with other meals. Now, these are the ingredients for my barbecue beef ribs. You could also use pork with this recipe. However, I feel like beef has that good, rich flavor. Now, whichever ribs you use, there is going to be like a silver membrane on the back. You're going to need to go in and just pull that right off. I also like to cut off any excess fat. I have also washed and patted dry these ribs. Now, I know some of y'all don't watch your meat. Okay, but if you trying to get invited to that cookout, baby, you better watch that meat. Ain't nobody, going to convince Africans and Caribbeans and black people to stop washing meat. Okay, so I'm going to cut off all this extra fat, and now I'm going to show y'all the Krabby Patty secret recipe, okay, to some good ribs. I have about a half a cup of brown sugar. Then I'm going in with a tablespoon of this brown sugar bourbon, grill made spice, as well as a half a tablespoon each of garlic powder, garlic and herb seasoning, a teaspoon of salt, and half of a teaspoon of MSG. Y'all, when you mix this together, okay, this is a really good dry rub for barbecue seasoning, guys. I'm going to lay down some foil, and then I'm going to take my ribs and I'm going to add on a little bit of that Maggi seasoning. That seasoning is going to soak down deep into the ribs and add a really good umami flavor. If you don't have this Maggi seasoning, you can just do like a splash of soy sauce. I'm going to add on some mustard. No, this mustard is not going to come through. The taste is not going to come through on your ribs. It's just going to help that seasoning stick and give a great flavor. I actually don't like my barbecue overly sweet, so I'm just going to sprinkle on a little bit on each rib. If you like a really sweet barbecue, then you can probably add about an extra 1/4 of a cup of sugar and just adjust the spices as needed. I wanted to add a little bit of a smoky flavor, so on my other ribs, I ended up sprinkling on some smoked paprika. I actually do not like that liquid smoke. Do you guys like that liquid smoke? I just feel like it has this weirdly artificial smoky taste, so I don't like using that to get that smoky flavor, especially since these are going to be done in the oven. But you can either use smoked paprika or the liquid smoke. I am going to wrap these ribs up very tightly in this foil, and then I'm going to cook them at 300 degrees for 3 hours undisturbed. Yep, that is going to get them nice and tender. After 3 hours, your ribs are going to be super juicy, very tender, and you're going to see all that flavor on these ribs. However, they look a little pale. Okay, I don't eat no pale meat. So I'm just going to brush on a very small amount of Sweet Baby Ray's because I want to get that color. Just about a tablespoon. Again, I don't like my ribs super sweet. If you want yours dripping in barbecue sauce, you just get crazy with it, all right? I am going to cook these at 450 degrees for about 10 minutes or so, and then I'll put them on a low broil for about a minute or two, just until they get the color that I want. Now you're going to see, baby, you're going to see these ribs falling off that bone. Y'all, that bone, I'm just going to go in there and just boop. Baby, it's going to come right on out. This meat is tender. It is juicy. It has great flavor. Are you going to try this barbecue ribs recipe in the oven? And are you going to use beef or pork? Okay, I think this tastes great with beef. But y'all, if you do the Piggly Wiggly, this will be good. All right. Now, ribs goes really well paired up with some potato salad because that creaminess just complements the little bit of sweetness in your ribs. And today I'm going to be using these blushing bell potatoes. Now, I done had these potatoes for a minute. Okay, so I'm just going to go in there and just rub off those little eyes. I'll give them a quick rinse, and then I'm going to cut them in half. I'm using these potatoes because this is what I had. However, you can use any potatoes that you want. The waxy potatoes would be great for this recipe. And this is 1.5 pounds of these mini potatoes. However, they're not going to give the same creaminess as your typical potato salad because they have the skin on them. So I'm going to just add 2 russet potatoes to this that I'm going to just peel and chop into about 1-inch pieces so that when I mix my potato salad, these will get kind of, beat up on the edges just a little bit and add that thickness to the potato salad that I personally like. I put my potatoes in a pot and I added cold water. Then I added my chicken bouillon and salt, and then I'm going to let it come up to a boil. By starting out in cold water, it's actually going to make sure the potatoes cook more evenly, and I cooked them for about 15 minutes. Then I drained them and put them in the fridge to cool for about 1 to 2 hours. I cooked my hard-boiled eggs at the side. I did not use all these eggs. I just ended up making extra for another recipe that I was making. And then I also put the eggs in the fridge. Now let me teach you how to upgrade your potato salad. Honey, we are using fresh dill, parsley, and a little bit of cilantro. We are going to give a fresh taste to the potato salad, but you don't want any big chunks of herbs, so just chop it very small. To get that perfect peel off of your boiled eggs, you just want to tap it down on your cutting board and roll it, and you should see that the peel comes right off. I'm going to do something special here, okay, that I don't typically do, but a subscriber recommended that I try this, and y'all, I loved this trick. So I cut my eggs in half, and then I took out all of the yolks. Then I went in and I chopped up the whites. We're actually going to separate the yolks and the whites because I am going to be mixing these yolks into my potato salad dressing. I feel like by doing this, it added another layer of creaminess to the potato salad. Let me know in the comments if you've been doing this for a while. This was my first time trying this, and I absolutely loved it. I'm going in with some sour cream and a little bit of mayo, and then I'm putting in those yolks. Secret ingredient, I'm going to put in about a tablespoon of bacon grease. Okay, so I had made some bacon to put in this recipe, and I just saved about a tablespoon of that fat to put right in there. You need to whisk this very well until this is smooth like butter, baby. Okay, and then you're going to add in about 1 stalk of celery, a little bit of onion. I love spring onion, but I didn't have that today. I'm putting in about 1/2 tablespoon of honey and a bit of mustard. I did not have sweet relish, which is why I ended up using the honey, but sweet relish would be great. This is the dry ranch seasoning that I like. I'm just going to add in about 1/2 tablespoon or so, and then I'm going to just whisk this together. You want to just taste this, okay, just to see if it's at where you like it. I determined it needed a little bit more garlic powder, and then I mix it together until all the lumps in that ranch seasoning were gone. You want to give it a good whisk, okay? These are my cooled potatoes. They're just a little bit brown because some of them have been exposed to the air, but they're definitely good to eat. I'm going to add in about 2 strips of bacon that I cooked and those egg whites. Now, the bacon is not a very dominating flavor. It just adds a little something different. But if you don't mess with the Piggly Wiggly, leave it out, okay? It's not going to make or break this recipe. And I would suggest even sprinkling a little bit of bacon on top of your potato salad just to let people know that there is pork in there, because y'all know people be funny about pork, okay? Everybody don't mess with it, all right? When I mix it up, I thought it needed a little bit more seasoning, so I just put on a touch of Creole seasoning, and then I finished mixing this together. This potato salad is best if you make it the day before and just let it sit. And y'all, this is some good potato salad. I love to cut up some eggs and put it on top. The freshness from the herbs, the nice little saltiness from the bacon, and those creaminess from this dressing, top tier. We're now going to make some gumbo cabbage with smoked turkey. I really love greens, especially in the winter. This is their season, and I have these greens from my garden. And so I am going to put in some olive oil and a cup of smoked sausage. I'm also going to add a piece of fat back, okay? But, if you don't do the Piggly Wiggly, you can just leave that out, okay? I'm going to saute this until it is browned. Then I'm going to put in 1/2 of a red bell pepper and 1 onion. This onion is really going to break down and really make a nice rich sauce at the bottom. So that's why we're putting in so much onion. I'm then going to put in 3 cloves of garlic, half a tablespoon of chicken bouillon and Creole seasoning, a teaspoon of onion, and a teaspoon of brown sugar. I'm going to toast this for about 30 seconds before I put in my smoked turkey wing and a little bit of apple cider vinegar to balance the flavor. I like to add boiling water so that, you keep the temperature hot in the pan. And I am going to simmer this turkey wing for about 30 to 45 minutes. I want it to be soft. Now, you guys know I will pressure cook this stuff in a minute, but I want to show you guys how to do it if you don't have a pressure cooker, okay? So now you can see a lot of those onions have broken down, and baby, that's what you want, okay? Because it's caramelized, it's had some flavor. It's going to be so good. And then I'm going to put in about 1.5 cups of whole okra. The frozen whole okra is really good quality. And then I'm adding in a mixture of kale and cabbage. And I'm also going to put in about 1 cup of tomatoes. You could also use half a can of tomatoes and a small cabbage that I have chopped up. Okay, these tomatoes are actually from the summer. I froze them and now I'm using them. They're going to add a nice sweetness. I'm then going to put in a little bit more boiling water. I'm going to cover this and I'm going to let this simmer for about 35 minutes. I don't want it too soft. I actually like a little bit of crunch on them. But you can simmer this as long as you want. The okra has broken down a bit. The tomatoes have released their flavor. I think this is a little bit healthy. I mean, it got a little fat back in it. But who ain't got a little fat on the back? Okay, come on now. Here we got the greens. We got the smoked turkey. Are you going to be trying this meal? Guys, this was so good. You guys know that I love you and Jesus loves you. And I'm going to see you next time in Camirra's Kitchen. Goodbye and God bless.